I wanted to ask during the Bitcoin versus Ethereum, but I never got the chance to. But I'd love for David to kind of talk through the ultrasound money thesis and the upcoming catalysts like EIP 1559, what that kind of means for Ethereum going forward, and his overall thesis of it overtaking Bitcoin in market cap.
Yeah, go for it.
Totally. Yeah. So the ultrasound money comes, it's a little bit of a joke on Bitcoiners who kept on talking about how Bitcoin is sound money, sound money, sound money. Bitcoiners are very, very serious. They take security very seriously. They take everything very seriously. And the Ethereum culture is a little bit more jovial, a little bit more laid back. And so we took one of their memes, which is Bitcoin is ultrasound money, and we turned it into, well, Ether is ultrasound money. But it's funny because there's actually a case for ultrasound money. And so the meme that came out was talking about Bitcoin as a hard cap, where the issuance of Bitcoin asymptotes and stays flat. But then Ether as ultrasound money, the issuance goes up, hits a apex, and then starts to decrease over time. And so Ether, if Bitcoin is sound money because it's 21 million hard cap, but Ether has a decreasing cap over time, Ether is therefore ultrasound money. And that's kind of the meme. That's kind of the joke. It's kind of the fun little knock at Bitcoiners who take themselves too seriously at times, I think, at least in my opinion. Now, why this meme is real, and good memes are always backed up by real fundamentals, is because Ether is actually ultrasound money. And so here's where the actual fundamentals of Ether come into play to actually back up this meme. And really, the ultrasound money is the combination of proof of stake and EIP 1559. So I'm gonna have to address both of those. Proof of stake is the alternative to proof of work. This is how Ethereum rids itself from the whole green energy debate just by removing it. And instead of running these computers at really, really high hash powers, trying to guess the right number to allow them to mine a Bitcoin block and consume a bunch of electricity, instead, all you do is you take your Ether and you stake it on the promise to not lie to the blockchain. And proof of stake is really proof of work is really proof of stake with extra steps. Instead of staking your Bitcoins, you are burning excess electricity on your promise to not lie to the Bitcoin blockchain instead of in Ethereum, where you just stake your Ether to promise to not lie to the Ethereum blockchain. So they're really ultimately the same things at the end of the day. One is just a lot more efficient at getting the same job done. That efficiency is really, really important because Bitcoin is secured by miners mining Bitcoin and then selling it on the secondary market to pay for the electricity costs that it costs to mine the goddamn thing. Excuse the language. Ethereum and Ether doesn't have that electricity costs under proof of stake. And so you can actually afford to compensate your security providers by the minimum amount of Ether issuance possible. And so proof of stake is a security mechanism that is designed to issue the least amount of currency needed to adequately compensate security providers for security. So the whole, and proof of stake is a security mechanism. All L1 native assets, L1 layer one, meaning so like BTC for Bitcoin, Ether for Ethereum, all L1 assets need to be valuable in order to secure the thing. If Bitcoin isn't valuable, then miners don't mine the chain. If Ether isn't valuable, then stakers won't stake Ether. Got to be valuable. And value is half of supply. And got supply and demand creates the price. If there's less supply, then in theory, the value goes up. Well, if proof of stake doesn't have to issue as much new currency in comparison to proof of work, then your currency is more scarce. And so Bitcoiners love to talk about the halvening. Bitcoin halvening comes every 4 years. Every 4 years, the amount of Bitcoins being minted into the ecosystem gets cut in half, and yay, Bitcoin's more scarce. Ether going to proof of stake is going, the meme that we're using is called the triple halvening, because we are going through 3 halvenings. So you have it again, and then you have it a third time. And that's the issuance reduction of Ether going from proof of work to proof of stake. So a triple halvening, which takes Bitcoin 12 years, Ethereum is getting sometime at the end of this year, maybe Q1 2022. That's just proof of stake. And EIP 1559, which is where this really gets interesting, is EIP 1559 burns the transaction fees rather than sending it to stakers. And there's a bunch of reasons for this. I could go into that, but there's a deeper dive. But the point is that instead of when you pay your transaction fee to submit a transaction on Ethereum, and these transaction fees can vary anywhere between $1 and $100. I've even paid as high as a $300 transaction fee. Sometimes it gets insane. These transaction fees are burnt. And so that actually goes to decreasing the supply of Ether. And when Ethereum is really, really hot, it's got a hot economy, you can actually burn more Ether than is what's going to be issued. And Ether, when the average GUI price for Ethereum has actually been relatively low in the last 2 weeks in comparison to what it used to be during DeFi summer. It's only been around 10, 15 GUI. Even with that, we would be burning more Ether than we would be issuing. That's what we've modeled out. And so Ether actually kind of, in my opinion, guaranteed to start decreasing in price once both the EIP 1559 is merged in on August 4th, and then the proof of stake is merged in sometime probably Q1 2022. So around Q1 2022, Ether supply actually gets more and more scarce, importantly, as a function of the magnitude of the Ethereum economy. As the Ethereum economy grows, we are actually burning more and more Ether, making Ether more and more scarce over time. And so that is where we get ultra sound money. And so the three like models I have are like the US economy. And as the US economy grows and becomes more valuable, the Fed actually has to print dollars more and more and more. Bitcoin economy, if the Bitcoin economy grows and becomes more valuable, where there's still only the same amount of Bitcoins. And so Bitcoins also grow in value in correlation to the Bitcoin economy. Ethereum and Ether and ultrasound money it's crazy sci-fi revolutionary. As the Ethereum economy grows, the value of Ether in theory should actually grow faster because it's getting more and more scarce. And so it's actually a long position on the Ethereum economy itself just by buying Ether. And as you guys may know, the Ethereum economy basically has not stopped growing since Genesis. And that is why Ether is ultrasound money.